So I've been a chronic self-improver since the age of 16, 17, constantly learning, constantly working, constantly telling myself that I need to be doing something, up-leveling, healing, all that stuff. And now all of those things are amazing and they have helped me get to where I'm at right now, but they've also contributed to a lot of burnout. It has negatively affected my own self-worth. It's affected the way that I show up in my social life. It's taught me to always look at things as a means to an end, AKA, if this thing is not teaching me something, then I don't care for it. It's led me to unbalanced living, which is obviously not healthy. And it's gotten me to a state of being overwhelmed, overthinking, ruminating, not being able to shut my brain off. And if this is you too, then we're gonna talk about why you're so obsessed with productivity and chronic self-improving and how you can stop. But first, if you're new here, my name is Alicia Gogan. I talk about self-improvement, the glow up, internal, external, all that good stuff. So don't forget to subscribe. And also I have a podcast channel called The Glow Up Secrets Podcast, which I will link down below as well. So there's two main themes that I think are really important to focus on when it comes to understanding why you are so obsessed with being productive. One being your self-worth. We get a lot of our self-worth and our value from how productive we are. And honestly, think about it. Think about when you aren't productive, how worthy do you think you are? How valuable do you think you are? If you're in this state, you probably don't think that you're valuable unless you are creating something, working towards something, doing something productive. And there's many reasons why we connect our self-worth to our productivity. One being we live in a society where it values productivity over not. You have been taught that through certain experiences, maybe from parents or again, environments, or maybe subconsciously we've told ourselves that we're lacking in certain areas. So we try to make up for those areas by being productive and valuable and, throw ourselves into work or tell ourselves that we must change and evolve and self-help and self-improvement because we are feeling low self-worth about other areas of our life or ourselves. And a lot of us have just been conditioned to value productivity and nothing else because the scarcity mindset. So let's talk about the scarcity mindset. The scarcity mindset is basically you being in survival mode. So we value things based off of our needs and our wants, and our needs and our wants are directly correlated to the survival of ourselves. So if there's certain things that we need and we want, like financial freedom or just finances in general, we are going to put all of our energy and our time and our attention on doing whatever we can to get our financial need met. And in this society, meeting our financial need means being productive. Or maybe you have a need to feel like you are valuable to parents. And you have been taught that if you are not being productive, then you are not valuable. So you're going to always be that productive person. Because if you feel like you're actually not valuable to your parents, that could actually feel like a threat to your survival. There are going to be emotions that come up like shame, inferiority, loneliness, sadness that will come with realizing that your family members don't actually value you. When you've never learned how to work with those emotions before, like fear and shame and, inferiority, any of that, it can literally feel like death. To the point where you are going to stay in that survival and be like, I'm gonna run from those emotions and I'm gonna do what I need to do so I don't feel those. So there's a lot of reasons why we are in this scarcity. Again, I would say that most people are kind of more in the financial, like I need to pay my bills, but also there's that self-worth component as well of being like, well, if I'm not productive, then I'm not valuable. And if I'm not valuable, then those are emotions that I cannot bear to even feel. I've never felt them before. I don't want to feel them. They're too scary. So let's talk about how we can actively heal these parts of us that might be feeling low self-worth, that might be feeling scared, might be feeling invaluable unless we're being super productive. Because the truth is, I could give you practical tips for you to implement to stop being so toxically productive. Like, let's shut the laptop and, after 5 o'clock, like stop working or go watch a show that has nothing to do with teaching you. But if you still have this low self-worth, if you still have this scarcity, it's gonna be really hard for you to just shut off these parts of you. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that you have been in this nervous system regulation for so long. Honestly, nervous system dysregulation for a while, but also you haven't really gone to the root yet. So let's talk about that. Doing some simple exploration of yourself and getting to the root of why you do certain things in my opinion, is the most important thing for you to do before you even try and change. Like, actively take that action and do things differently. So thinking about your own story and your own toxic productivity vibe you got going on here, I want you to get clear on why you are so obsessed with being productive. What value do you get from being productive? What does being productive make you feel like? What emotions might you be running from? Where do you place your value and why? Now, like I've said, a lot of this is going to have to do with, just society as a whole, which means there's gonna be certain beliefs that you've taken in that makes you believe that your value is only placed in how productive you could be. Maybe it has to do with parental guidance. Maybe it has to do with running away from certain emotions that you've never learned how to explore. I just want you to get very curious. This is not, because this is what's gonna happen. Because you are so chronically productive and you wanna know all the answers and you wanna take the action and you wanna whatever, that part of you is gonna come online, the one that wants to be very productive, and they're gonna want to do this exploration from a place of, give me the answer so I can figure out how to change. So when you're doing this exploration of understanding truly, why is it that I have this part? Where is this part coming from? It's simply from a place of being curious, exploration. You're not even trying to change this part of you. You're looking inwards to this productive part of you and you're saying, hi, I'm here and I've never connected with you before, but I just want to know, where did you first begin? Where did you first get created? What beliefs do you hold about yourself, about us? What are you not seeing in your actions, AKA being productive, that I'm seeing that's actually burning us out right now? And what you're probably going to find is that this part of you is almost like an inner critic. You can call it your protector part, whatever it is. This part of you is actually just trying to keep you safe in some way. Trying to keep you safe from emotions, trying to keep you safe financially, whatever it is. And I think that one thing that we do when we realize that we're doing some sort of behavior that we no longer want to be doing anymore is we send hate to that part. We get annoyed. We wonder, why do we keep self-sabotaging? I want to stop. I want to slow down. I want to da-da-da-da. This is not helpful. But this part of you doesn't see what your conscious part of you sees. The conscious part of you that sees that, okay, well, this is affecting my social life and I'm burning out and, I'm actually very unhappy. This part of you is still stuck in a place, sometimes in childhood, but somewhere along the way, that still believes that what it's doing is keeping you safe. And truly, the only way that you're really gonna be able to influence and change any sort of part of you the same way that you do with people in your real life is not to yell at them and demand at them that they change. That could work for a little bit, the force and manipulation, but that doesn't work long term. And we don't want to do that, because why would we want to force and manipulate a part of us that actually loves us? We need to send love to that part first. So once you start to explore this part of you, I think it's really useful for you to write a letter to this protector part, you can call it, your productive part, and send love and compassion and this energy of, I see you. I see why you are constantly wanting to self-improve and change and evolve and be obsessed with self-help and learning and being productive. I see why. I see why because you're running away from emotions. I see why because parents, from social media, from society in general, whatever it is. For the first time, I want you to acknowledge that this part exists within you. This part is residing within you, and you're just going around your life just being operated from this part until you realize it's not helpful, but then you get mad at it and you just want to change without taking in consideration that this part of you is trying to protect you. One of the most important things that you can do when it comes to habit change, when it comes to change in general, is to change out of a place of self-love, not out of a place of self-hate, which most people do. So not only do our minds, aka our protector parts, need to be, loved and taken into consideration and retrained in a way to do things differently and believes different things about what it means to be valuable, we also need to change our bodies that are operated from that protector part. So I don't want to make it too confusing, but technically when we're looking at our protector part, we're looking at our protector part from our conscious mind, the ego, the one that's responsible, the adult self. We're looking at our subconscious mind, the one that kind of runs on autopilot, the one that will be productive no matter what you tell it, because it's just trained to be like that. It has certain beliefs that it holds. Once you start to deconstruct these beliefs and you send love, compassion, you understand what it really needs to feel safe, the level under that is retraining the nervous system that has been operated from this part of you. The subconscious mind is like the operator of your nervous system. And what your nervous system is basically a feeling state. Again, it's that automatic, I'm gonna feel very stressed if I don't, send another email today. Very, very automatic. Or, thinking about all the million things that you have to do on your to-do list that you didn't do. And once you start thinking about that, your heart starts to pound, or, you start to freak out, or you can't fall asleep. That's your nervous system state being in dysregulation. So the most important thing, along with, working with that part of you, the mindset component, is to heal your nervous system. And I'm sure you've heard of this before, this fight, flight, or even freeze response. Basically, when we are very chronically stressed and overwhelmed, our nervous system goes into this fight or flight. In this work mode, I gotta get things done, whatever. And sometimes it's not enough for us to just tell our minds to slow down, because our nervous system is automatically gonna go do these things. So in order for you to, over time, slow things down, you need to start to incorporate some more presence, incorporate some more slowing down of the nervous system, healing of the nervous system, so it's easier for you to be able to influence the subconscious or that protector part of you, so that you can actually take that practice into action of, I'm shutting the computer today. I'm not gonna respond to the email. I'm gonna stop thinking about the million things that I have to do. Another thing I want you to realize is your nervous system has been primed in this fight or flight response, or even freeze, but I'm gonna just say fight or flight, for many years, I'm sure. Not only is it just this productivity and just society in general, but our nervous systems are constantly stressed, and honestly, a lot of trauma also affects our nervous systems as well. So it's gonna take some time, slowly, and you need to understand this when it comes to healing your nervous system. The protector part of us, that productivity, inner critic, whatever you want to call it, subconscious, all the same thing. We can all put it under one thing. I'm pointing over here because we just know it's going to be over here. That part of you is going to come online as soon as you want to try to slow things down and be like, no, this is wrong. I can't do this. I can't do this. This is not good. So it's important to not do everything all at once. So here's a few things that you can do to regulate your nervous system on a day-to-day basis. Small little things which will over time calm down your nervous system so you can actually slow down in your life. One thing that's really helped me was doing guided meditations. I am somebody who is very much so on. I have a lot of thoughts, I'm ready to go, I want to work, and I didn't really find that silent meditation was that helpful for me, because my inner critic, the productive part of me, was just like, okay, we gotta go. But I found that doing guided meditations, having somebody guide you through a calming awareness piece of bringing your mind and your thoughts back to the body, back to the breath, is so much more helpful. And doing guided meditations is really regulating your nervous system. You're bringing your awareness out from all the stuff that's going on here, and you're bringing your focus back to your body, to your breath, to the present moment. And you can even just feel the state, and I can feel it right now when I'm talking. My nervous system is very much so up right now. We're up here because I'm speaking and and whatever, which is totally fine. It doesn't mean that we always have to be slow and calm. It's totally not to throw out this part of us completely. But I can feel the difference in my nervous system instantly when I just put my hand on my heart right here for a moment. And this is not even the guided meditation. And sit here for a moment. And bring my presence back to my feet that are touching the ground right now, my hand that's touching my chest, the fact that I'm looking at this camera right now, the sounds that I'm hearing outside. That's what it means for you to regulate your nervous system to come back to healing. And that's what guided meditation can help you do. So I would suggest for the next maybe 2 weeks, do a guided meditation either in the morning, the noon, or night, whenever you find time, and it's very small. I'm gonna link the ones that I have used to heal my nervous system when it was like in the worst state it's ever been a few years ago, but even things that I use now. I'm gonna have the resources down below. And again, it's bringing it back to these small little incremental things that you're adding throughout your day where you're able to train your nervous system to be more in that rest and digest state. Because as soon as you wake up in the morning, your nervous system is like, let's go. Right? Especially if you're in scarcity, if you're in low self-worth, you know, if you have goals, if you're, you know, like me, you have a lot of things and just the daily stressors of life. So it's really important that you start to retrain your nervous system. And in that moment, you're going to feel more calm. But as soon as you come out of it, you'll probably go back to your nervous system. But naturally over time, you're going to allow your nervous system to build more of a capacity to handle more stressors in your life. So when you do have to think about the goal you have to work on, or, you know, you have to be productive, your nervous system is not going to get like shot. You're going to have this window of capacity. My somatic therapist talks to me about this all the time. You have this short window of, I'm not even gonna get into it really because this is a whole nother episode, but you have this short window where your nervous system is fluctuating through. And what we do when we, you know, have real low self-worth, or, you know, society is telling us we must do a million things all at once, we shoot all the way up and then we get burnt out, and then, you know, we start to overthink, we get stressed, we get sick, and then we'll drop all the way down to the point where sometimes we freeze, sometimes we get into depression, sometimes we, you know, we feel like we're just lost in life. We're so overwhelmed because there's just too many things going on. So it's really about bringing ourselves back into balance. So that is so helpful for you. 5 minutes sometime throughout your day. Another thing, if you don't have time to do meditations, because sometimes you just don't have the time, you can do what I just did on camera with this hand on the heart and bringing yourself back to the present and literally just like waking up your senses. So your smell, your taste, your touch, your sound, like what you're hearing, or simply just coming to the breath and taking a few breaths. When I would work as a server or bartender, my nervous system was all the way up. And what I would do sometimes throughout my shift was I would go into the back, you know, when you just like take a sip of water, or you just like, you know, you do whatever. I would put my hand on my heart and just literally take 3 breaths and bring down my nervous system. And even though I would go right back into it, it's the fact that you're disrupting this high level of stress over time really helps. Another thing that you can do, which I think is so important, and I feel like people honestly underestimate the importance of going on little short walks, but without listening to a podcast or music. Doing walks, listening to podcasts and music are great, but sometimes when I feel that my nervous system, like I'm you know, I'm thinking about a million things and I'm very stressed, but I'm trying to do a bunch of things, I know it's time for me to go for a walk, take out my music, and just, again, hear the wind in my ears, feel it on my face, look around, stop looking at a screen, get out of my head and into my body, into nature, and just walk for a moment. That is something so beneficial to healing your nervous system. Another thing that you can do, again, this is more of a quick tip if you just don't have time to go on a walk, is open your window, open your door if it's cold out or you just don't really have that time, and smell fresh air. That will instantly like bring your awareness from your head to your senses for a moment. One thing that my somatic therapist had taught me, because I can get into fight or flight very quickly, easily, although I've learned how to kind of like, first of all, I've learned how to open my window of tolerance so I can handle a lot more without being stressed, and I know where my tipping point is and I know not to go past that, and even if I do, I can bring myself back down with some of these tips. But I have been also taught, like my nervous system has been trained some time to go into freeze mode when I feel very overwhelmed. And when you're in freeze mode, sometimes it's good to actually wake up the nervous system. So not necessarily slowing things down, right? Slowing things down is so amazing for majority of us and it's always useful. But sometimes it's about waking yourself up. So if you find that you're somebody who kind of like goes into a daze and starts thinking and ruminating and overthinking whatever, or, you know, go into freeze mode where you're procrastinating because you know you have a million things to do, you just don't know where to start. Sometimes what you can do is, there's a few things. One, this is like a quick tip, right? If you just like don't have a lot of time, you can put your hand out, take your other hand and start like tapping all the way up back to like the root of your spine. I think she said this is, I'm pretty sure this is where your vagus nerve can go, like all the way up to here and back down, and like do it again. I would do it a little bit harder and just do this for a few moments. If you find that you're really just like going into a daze, you're waking up your nervous system like, hello, I'm here, hi, I'm here. Another thing that you can do to train your nervous system if you find that you're getting into freeze mode a lot is when you're in the shower, and I know it's not easy, this is the hard one for me, and it's honestly way better when I do it in the summer, is to turn on your cold water for like 30 seconds before you get out of the shower, and it wakes you up. I remember on my birthday last year in November, I did a cold water plunge for the first time in my life with my somatic therapist actually, and the way that it woke up my nervous system to a point that I was like, it wasn't like shock, like it wasn't so insane, but I was like, I felt like I was renewed. Having a glass of water can kind of have that same effect, but like way less. Or even you can put on your favorite music, even if you're doing some work or you're, you know, whatever you're doing, put on your favorite song for like 3 minutes and dance, move your body. Another great thing that you can do is HIIT workouts in the morning. If you find that you are somebody who, it's more so you're not really on all the time, you're sometimes in that freeze mode because you're just so overwhelmed and you just you just don't know which decision to make. Doing a quick like 5 to 10 minute HIIT workout in the morning can really wake you up. So I can have some links down below of things that I've used in the past. But my last thing is really to befriend your inner critic, because what's gonna happen when you do all of these types of little implementation of the nervous system regulation, your inner critic is sitting right there watching you do everything. And your inner critic has thoughts, has opinions, has beliefs, and the more times that you start to work with this part of you and start to restructure some of these beliefs, you're not gonna hear it so much. But especially when you're first starting, you're gonna hear a lot of self-doubt. You're gonna hear a lot of, this is stupid, it's not working, it doesn't make sense. And you know, if you're not doing it for 30 minutes, then you shouldn't do it at all. Like all of the toxic productivity things that you constantly are always telling yourself, it's going to come up. And instead of you being like, oh my God, just shut up, or letting it take over completely and not doing anything, you can just lovingly be like, okay, I see it. My inner critic's online right now. My productivity part that really wants to do something, she's online right now. I totally see you. You can be here with me while we do this. I'm gonna come back to you. We're gonna be productive, but we do need to do this. That's literally how you have to be with yourself. Like you actually have to talk to yourself. Talking to yourself has literally changed the game for me and anything to do with my healing journey. And honestly, once I was able to heal my nervous system, to work with that inner critic, I was able to start to learn ways to be productive in healthier ways. So not going back to the toxic productivity of being burnt out and obsessing and doing things that are just so irrelevant anyways and acting out of scarcity and not standing in my self-worth. I was able to still get things done and be productive from a different way, a healthier, more balanced, more cyclical way. And that's where I'm at right now in my life. I have worked for probably the past 2 years of really doing this, and 2.5 years of taking those steps to the point where I do productivity and I'm productive and I get things done from a completely different way. Listen, I am a girl who wants to get her ass up and work, okay? We have a lot of goals, we have a lot of things to do, but I do it in a different way. So with that being said, make sure that you're subscribed, because next video, I'm gonna have the second part of this video, which is going to be sustainable, healthy productivity hacks / tips that I'm going to give you so that you can be able to implement in this way as you're healing your nervous system. I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know if you liked it in the comments, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.